know how to handle yourself. That's not always the case. People that look like they have it all together typically don't. And so I took a few notes today at your 11 o'clock service, which was great. I loved being a part of your Oasis family today. And something that I really loved was talking about perception. There's this perception of yourself, what people see at church, and what people actually think. And mental health is no different. So what I took away was how we perceive mental health as a whole really isn't that great, and it's something that needs to be changed. How we see our mental health behind closed doors is something even more powerful, because we might have had an anxiety attack, a panic attack. We might be falling apart inside, but when we show up at school the next day, we have to look like we have it all together. And that has been the story of my life. People have always looked at me and they've always thought, oh, you have it all together. You show up with your color-coded planner. You show up with your outfits always planned out and ready to go, and you don't ever forget anything. Little do they know, I have to color coordinate my planner, because if I don't, my OCD and my anxiety kicks in. That's a way that I deal with my anxiety and my stress. And yes, I put myself together in the mornings because I know if I do that, and it's a part of my daily routine, then I know my day is going to start off well. These are all things that people deal with, and deal with their stress and anxiety in different ways. And that's just one of my ways. So my whole platform came to fruition my junior year of high school. How many of you guys have ever dealt with stress and anxiety? Or even know what it is? All my leaders, can you guys raise your hands if you've dealt with it? Check it out, guys. You're not alone in this. It's something we all deal with, and it's something we all deal with differently. So I don't believe in the hustle of life. I believe in aligning my life. And what that means is I like to destroy the idea that you have to constantly be working and grinding in order to be successful. Embrace the concept that rest, recovery, and reflection are essential parts to progress forward towards successful and the ultimate happy life. You don't have to hustle through life. You don't have to have it all together all the time, but you have to check in on yourself in your mental state. So Work It Out came to fruition in my junior year because I was dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety. I was the captain of my cheerleading team, I was the captain of my golf team, and I was the captain of our powder puff team. Which doesn't sound like a big deal, but once you add in my weekend activities that I was doing, going to church, working in the community multiple hours, and then on top of that, after I was doing that on the weekends, during the weeks, I had to go from cheer practice to golf practice and then do hours of homework because I was at a college preparatory school. So I wasn't going to bed until 1, 2 in the morning doing homework because I would get home at 6 o'clock. And when my teachers asked me something of me, I stepped up because I wanted that leadership. I wanted to be that person that said yes, yes, yes. And little did I know that saying yes, 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 yes was going to be so heavy because I thought I could do it all. And so one thing kept piling up, and then another, and then another, and then another. And before I knew it, I was on the ground in a fetal position, sobbing, crying, and spiraling out of control. That's why my message is what it is, because I don't want anyone to ever be on the floor in the fetal position, not knowing what emotion is happening, and almost blacking out because you have no recollection of anything. My mom came down that night. I was doing my homework, and it was one math problem that sent me into this frenzy. Something that I should have been able to solve, something I should have been able to do, but that sent me into my spiral. And my mom came in and she just saw me in this puddle, and she just picked me up and she was like, what's wrong? And I couldn't even function. I couldn't even make words to tell her what was happening because I didn't know what was happening. So how was I supposed to express how I was feeling if I couldn't even put it into words? That's why it's so important for us to have these open relationships, not only with your people in this room, but our families. Being able to talk to your mom and your dad about how you're feeling. And my family, we have a system. We talk about our emotions in colors. We talk about when we're sad, that's a blue day. When we're anxious, that can be kind of green, blue and green, grew. When you're having an angry day, it's red. When you're having an exciting day, it's orange. When you're having a super great, awesome day, it's pink. But when you're just having one of those really good days, it's yellow. And that's what I strive for everyone to have, is a yellow day. But it's important that we talk about those days that really aren't that yellow, because those are the days that add up. And once those days add up, and you just keep taking your emotions and shoving them in a drawer, and shoving them in a drawer like your t-shirts, and shoving them in a drawer, and you know when it won't close anymore? That's what our emotions are like. And we have to talk about them, and we have to keep folding them neatly and putting them in the drawer properly so we can close it. We have to talk about our emotions and our mental state, because if we don't, that drawer's going to explode and probably fall over. Or your clothes are all going to topple out of your closet and land on you. And no one wants that. At least I don't. So something that I think was kind of funny that Greg and I the other day were talking about carving pumpkins. Carving pumpkins. How many of you think this is a fun activity? Okay. How many of you see this as a stressful activity? That's the difference in people. To Greg, carving pumpkins was great. It was going to be fun. It was going to be awesome. We were going to gut them and then draw silly faces on them, and that was going to be the end of it. And I just looked at him and I was like, excuse me, that is not relaxing at all. That is so stressful because I get one pumpkin. And if I mess up that pumpkin, then it's the end of the world. Because I can't fix my pumpkin, because once I carve something out that's not right, my pumpkin's ruined and I have to throw it away. So, we have to look at this, and we have to look at our mental health like this. I believe that everyone has a secret recipe, something that works for them. For me, it's going to the gym and running and just really getting sweaty in there and gross and just letting those endorphins fly and just being in that moment and finishing something beginning to end. For other people like my sister, it's being artsy. She can write poetry, she reads, she connects in that aspect. But for me, no. I have to go sweat it out, get gross, and that's going to be it. But what works sometimes isn't going to always work in a situation. So sometimes when I'm feeling really anxious, sometimes I just need to sit down and make a list. I'll make a list of all the things that I have to accomplish in a day. But what I started to realize, that is anxiety doesn't always present itself in ways that you think it would. Anxiety can present itself by you thinking that people are criticizing your every move. Thinking that you had to be perfect to avoid judgment. Resenting myself for not living up to everyone's standards. I didn't want to come off as stupid. These are all ways that anxiety presents itself. And it's all something that we have to be aware of. Because when we speak negatively to ourselves, anxiety is able to manifest, it's able to build in that environment. So I've started something that I really, really, really like. And it's called R.A.I.N. And I really like R.A.I.N because I'm at NC State studying meteorology. So I connected to this and instantly thought it was something I had to share with anyone I cross and have the privilege to speak of about mental health. So R.A.I.N is 4 easy steps that when you feel yourself spiraling or you don't know what emotion you're feeling, that you can sit and just gain control of your emotional state, because that's the most important thing, is identifying how you're feeling. So we start with R, of course, because that's the first letter in R.A.I.N. So we have to recognize what's going on. You need to recognize the emotion and recognize the situation. Say we just got a test back. We didn't do as well as we wanted to. How many of you that has happened to you? Okay, same. I just got one back from Dynamics, thought I aced it, I got a 70. Great. So we are in this situation and we're now looking at our emotional state. We're recognizing what's going on. We are now moving on to letter A. Allow the experience to be present. And what I mean by this is you have to allow yourself to feel that emotion. When I got that test grade back, or you got that test grade back, allow yourself to feel that emotion, express it. If you're sad, be sad. If you're angry, be angry. But don't suppress that emotion, because every single emotion you feel, you are allowed to feel. And one thing that really bothers me is if someone tries to judge you for how you feel about a situation, they don't have any right. We only have the right to allow people to feel how they feel about a situation and be there to support them. Because everyone's experience in life and walk of life is different. So after we allow the emotions to be present and we don't suppress them, we now are going to investigate. And I cannot stress, if you take nothing away from me speaking to you tonight, Take away this. Investigate with kindness. You got that test grade back. You realize the emotion you're feeling. You allowed the experience to be there. And now you're not going to call yourself stupid. You're not going to talk negatively to yourself and tell yourself that you didn't do well because you're stupid. You cannot speak negatively to yourself. When you investigate with kindness and say, you know what, I didn't get the best grade back, but I'm going to really go talk to the teacher and see what I could have done better. I'm not dumb and I can do this, and I know that if I put in a little bit more effort, that I'm going to get the best grade back. You have to investigate with kindness, not only with yourselves, but with your friends. If something happens, maybe instead of getting mad at your friend and letting that anger just kind of eat at your friendship, investigate why you both feel the way that you do. With kindness, kindly talk to each other about what is happening and why you feel the way you do. One thing that I've really learned, and I highlighted this because I always forget to say it, but it's literally the most important thought that I've ever had in my whole entire life, is that when you speak kindly to yourself, and then we talked about this in church today, if you guys were there at the 11 o'clock service, when you do kind things and it flows through you and out into the universe, that comes back. It comes back so heavily. And when you are putting kindness and love into the world, nothing but happiness and joy comes back. But you have to get rid of those negative thoughts. And natural awareness that this does not define you. This experience doesn't define you, and it surely isn't going to make you fall to pieces, simply put. When you are aware of the situation, you're naturally aware, and you don't allow it to identify you, and you don't allow it to make you feel like you're stupid, or you're not enough, or you're not good enough, then you are using R.A.I.N. You know that this does not define you, but you're strong enough to know that this experience is just one little sentence in your big book of life, and it doesn't define the way the book goes. So next time you feel yourself spiraling, and you just can't get control of the emotions, or you don't know what emotion you're feeling, remember to use R.A.I.N. So we're going to R, does anyone remember it? Yeah, we're going to recognize it. So after recognizing so we're going to recognize the emotion. What's A? I know someone knows it.
Allow.
Yeah, allow the experience to be present. I. Yeah, what was that one? Because that's the only one I wanted you to take away. What are we going to do? Yes, investigate with kindness and love and compassion and love yourself, because that's the best thing in the whole entire world is when you love yourself. And the natural awareness that this situation does not define you. When you can add those to your life and really use that to encompass everything, and I use it all the time, guys. I'm not just up here preaching it to you just to be like, hey, do this. I'm doing this because this is what I do. And it has helped me significantly in my own life. And if I can share that and save someone from going down that road of having a panic attack and having an anxiety attack, because they're scary, guys. They are so scary. Because they take you to the darkest place that you never thought you could go. And I've been to dark places in my life. And you're going to. And I'm saying this because I don't want to scare you. But when you're at the lowest part of your life, all you have to do is stick your hand up. And God is going to be right there to pull you back up. Because He is always right there. He's never going to leave your side. So I have a couple Bible verses that I have really taken to heart about stress and anxiety. And they're things that I think you can write on your wall. You can write on a sticky note. I have sticky notes that I put up, and they say kind words on them, or they'll have scripture on them, so that I put those into my life. And I have that instead of looking at the mirror and picking myself apart and saying, oh, I hate how this looks on me. I hate how this doesn't fit right. I hate how my hair might not look good that day. Who cares? You have to speak kindly to yourself. So, Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Y'all, I can't even tell you how important this is. He will literally be with you. When there are so many things that you just think oh, I can do this myself. oh, I can do this myself. Oh, I can do this myself. I always imagine God just kind of like standing there and being like, okay, go, you're doing great. And then I'm over here like, bye, see you later. And then someone has, I'm like, wait, I need you. Like, come back, I really need you. And that happens so often that we step away and we feel like maybe we can do it on our own. But God has his hand in everything. Literally everything. And the second you realize that and you give that stress and anxiety up to God, crazy things start happening, guys. I'll never forget, I was going to, well, I'm at NC State now, so I transferred from the University of South Carolina to NC State. Long story, we'll save it for another rainy day. But in that transfer process, when I was getting to go to college, I was waiting on my acceptance letter from USC. Everyone had gotten their acceptance letter but me. And I was like, maybe USC lost it. Like, I don't know what's happening. And I just kept telling myself, like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Little did I know that God was just standing up there, tapping his foot. He was like, I'm waiting for you to just kind of like give it all up to me and just see what happens once you give it up to me. And it still makes me emotional, so bear with me, because it's one of those moments that you really see God do his work. So I was getting ready for school. It was during that time where I was dealing with stress and anxiety, and it was just really a ball of emotion that I was carrying on my shoulders. And I turned on some Christian music in the morning, because that's always how I like to start my mornings. And one of the songs came on, and it was talking about how when you're in the lowest valley, all you have to do is look up, essentially. And I realized in that moment that I was in one of the lowest valleys I had ever been in, because I had neglected God in my life. I was going to church, but I stopped doing my connection with God. And it was that moment, and there were like 4 songs back to that were just it. And it was literally God speaking to me. And I kid you not, I had literally finished doing my hair and makeup. Do you know how annoying that is? Like, it's when you remember, like, it's not your timing, it's God's timing. Because like I literally was ready for school, and then like the emotional wall just hit me. And I just felt God lift everything up off my shoulders. And I just sat there and cried, and I just remember sitting there and being like, God, I give it all up to you. I don't know why I carried this by myself, because I couldn't. I don't know why I did this and thought I could do it on my own, because I can't. Please just help me feel you again, help me be with you, and help guide me. Let me do your work. And I kid you not, guys, my acceptance letter was in that mailbox when I got back from school. God's kind of cool, guys. He works in some cool ways that we don't see him working, but he does. And it's moments like that allow me to remember when my mental health feels like it's at a low, it's because I'm not incorporating God into my life. And God is something that you guys are so fortunate to have in your hearts and in your lives, and to have someone to lean on. Besides the leaders in this room, you have God that is literally walking hand in hand with you to class, to school, to your home, like to your car, like everywhere. I mean, he's in everything that you guys are doing, and because you are young and you have this faith built already, that's going to take you so far with your mental health journey. This other one that I found that I really love is from Psalm chapter 23, verse 4. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. That goes back to talking about God walking with you, because he's in everything that we're doing, and he's going to constantly be walking with you. So tying this all back to work it out and what work it out is. So I believe that we can work anything out. And going back to the secret recipe, we can work stress out. We can work anxiety out. We can work emotions out. We can work anything out. So that's like my tagline. So when we're working it out, everyone does it differently. Like I said, for me, it's going to the gym and getting ugly. For other people, it's just doing something that takes away the idea of what's giving them stress and anxiety. How many of you guys have seen the picture of like all the scribbly lines going like every which direction? Yeah? Yeah, that's how many of you ever felt like that? Like just a ball of like zigzaggy lines just like all over the place, like nothing's together. Yeah, that's me too. All the time. And it happens. But it's how we attack that fuzzy, wild ball and allow it to stay kind of like this small little, like cute little guy that's manageable. Then we can just like stick it in our pocket and be like, come on, buddy. How do we keep it small? Instead of letting it grow like into this massive creature that we're now having to stick and shove into our backpacks and take to school with us. That's what work it out is. It's keeping that little ball small, that little feeling you have. Because if we can not suppress it, that's the wrong word. We're not suppressing our emotions, we're expressing our emotions. If we can figure out how to keep that ball small in our own ways, it's kind of crazy what happens. So I have some tricks and tips on ways that we can make ourselves feel better. How many of you guys are actually getting 7 hours of sleep at night? I mean, consistently. Like, I'm talking on a regular, like, sleep schedule. So that is one way we can deal with our mental health. Is if we can get our bodies on a time schedule and actually get 7 hours of sleep. I think it might be 6.5 right now. I don't even know. They keep changing it. I don't know why they think we're adaptable creatures. Science, I guess. Breathing exercises. How many of you guys have ever done breathing exercises? Yeah. This is something that I do when I'm walking across campus. I literally, walking across campus, will be like, breathe in. You know, all the way to class. Just because it helps me gain control and allow me to acknowledge the emotions that I'm feeling. Another way that I love to do self-care is through journaling. I love to journal. And I may not journal all the time, but boy, when I'm feeling those emotions, the whole page is filled just with emotions and thoughts. And sometimes I might not even write, I'll color. How many of you guys have those like adult coloring books? Yeah? I love them. I literally put on some Jesus music and I have like a Jesus book where I color Bible verses. And Jesus and I get real close. And we talk about my emotions. Because he really does listen. Sometimes I'll be like, hey homie, like I'm feeling kind of stressed out. How can we fix this? And he always he's like, don't worry homie, I got you. We'll figure this out. Like, I'm sending someone down to help you out. Something that I want you guys to remember, and I call this the note to self section, is that your feelings are so valid. They are so valid, guys. How you feel is how you feel. And how someone else feels about an experience is how someone else feels about an experience. And sometimes you're not going to have the same emotional connection. Like when I fail if I fail a test, I'm upset. When someone else fails a test, they might not feel upset. When your dog dies, you might feel upset. Someone else, like my dad, might be happy the dog's dead. It's okay. It's like a long story. It's another rainy day story. He loved her. He just says he doesn't. You're allowed to enforce boundaries. And what I mean by this is you have to enforce boundaries sometimes with people. My mom and I have a very, very good relationship. We have weekly check-ins with one another where she might not directly ask me how I'm feeling and how I am doing, but she'll work it into the conversation. And it's a way for her to have that sanity check that my daughter's okay. Another way to have that sanity check is going and seeing a therapist and a counselor. I have a therapist that I see on a weekly basis. And what they do is, remember that little ball of emotion that we were talking about, the little scrabble guy? They take that and they unwind it into a straight line. And they allow me to understand that emotional experience that I'm having. Because sometimes when your emotions become so heavy and you don't know how to deal with your stress and anxiety anymore, and you've tried all the outlets, you've tried doing things, you've tried looking up like self-care tips, and nothing's working on that list, sometimes it's a deeper problem that you need someone to just unwind. And they begin pulling those strings, and you start feeling like, oh, you mean that's an okay emotion? You mean that's a normal way to feel? And they give you that validation that your feelings are valid. And it's okay. It's not something you should be ashamed of. It's something that you have to do for your mental health. And your mental health journey is so important. Your mental health journey, not only physically and mentally, but spiritually. Because you guys, you're all young, but I'm telling you, and the leaders can vouch for this also, when they've stepped away from Christ and they've stepped away from God, and you have this stress and anxiety, you don't really know what to do with it. At least I don't. I mean, I'm 21, so they have a lot more life experience than I do, but I just don't know what to do with it. So I hold it. And then, remember God over there waving? He's like, come back. So I do. And it's something that I work on constantly. We have this spiritual journey that we have to constantly go on, and we have to remember that we can't do it all on our own. And something that I want you to know is that you are not, number one, on this journey alone. Number two, the people in this room love you. And that has been so evident in just literally the 6 hours that I've spent with all of you. The love is incredible. And they want nothing more than to help you through every situation in life. Lean on them, no matter what. Because they have been through it. I've been through it. We've done middle school and high school. Trust me, I got a couple tips. Number one, don't get involved in drama. Number two,
Amen.
Literally, just don't get involved in it. Number two, just do your thing. Who cares what other people think? Because you're going to get to college, and guess what? You're going to be yourself, and it's going to be great. Because no one cares, and no one knows you. So just be yourself, honestly. The second you start to laugh at yourself and you accept your quirkiness and your uniqueness and your nerdiness, because I'm the first person to tell you I'm the biggest nerd in here. You want to talk science? Oh, I'll talk science. Like, I'm here for it. But you have to remember to be yourself. Don't try to be the girl next to you. Don't try to be the guy next to you. And guys, I'm talking to you about this too. Because I have a lot of guy friends that have finally opened up to me about their mental health journeys. Then crying is so healthy. I love a good cry. I don't know about anyone else, but sometimes that emotional release is just incredible, and it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel. It's okay to express your emotions, and you shouldn't be ashamed, ever, of your emotions. So let's start talking about stress and anxiety. Because the second we start talking about them, and we work them into conversation, and we're not scared to show that, yes, I deal with stress on a daily basis. Yes, I deal with anxiety on a daily basis. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm okay with it because it makes me me. But it's how I deal with it. My anxiety can present itself sometimes, and this is a new thing that I've actually noticed, and my mom has actually noticed also. Sometimes my anxiety will manifest itself into irritability. I will be so anxious and stressed out about a test, a project, a quiz, that I become irritable. And it can literally be my mom FaceTiming me and being like, you want to see the dog? And I'm like, no. But I love my dog. Like, literally my mom will FaceTime me just so I can see the dog. But sometimes, like, that's not what I need. And that's those boundaries that I was talking about before. Does anyone watch Rachel Hollis or know who she is? Yeah? I love that. Rachel Hollis, she's the best. If you don't follow her on Instagram, you need to, because she's all about gratitude and feeling gratitude. And the one thing that I have really implemented into my life, and it has made the biggest difference, is that you cannot feel gratitude and anxiety at the same time. I've tried it because I was like, there's no way, she's lying. She's lying through her teeth. And she's not. It's true, because when I feel those anxious moments, I remind myself, how can I learn from this? How can I be grateful for the lesson that I'm learning? How can I be grateful for this moment in time? And it's just another coping tool. You can't feel gratitude and anger at the same time either. These are emotions they're so opposite that when you try to put them together, they're like oil and vinegar. They separate. So whenever I'm angry and I don't understand like why something's not working, I just take a step back and I'm like, how can I be grateful for this learning experience? How can I be grateful for the patience someone is teaching me? Something else that you guys talked about that I wrote down on my chicken scratch paper was that they talked about how we let things build in relationships. Well, we let that build in ourselves too. And then we become the Hulk. And then what happens after we become the Hulk?
Smash!
Yeah, we smash things. So when we are anxious and we smash things, we take that anger out on each other. You don't want to take that out on your friends, but we do. And it's what happens. But if we are working on our anxiety and our stress and talking about and having those open relationships and having those open conversations, then we're already bettering our mental health. I challenge you all to, if you don't open up to your leaders, have a conversation with your parents if you're struggling. Or if you don't want to talk to a family member about it, someone in this room, even me, is willing to listen. You guys can send me a message. That's why I'm here. Greg sent me a DM on Instagram to come speak to you all. So if you're ever struggling, please feel free to reach out to me. Please feel free to contact me. I'm here to talk, I'm here to help, and I'm an advocate for mental health because I believe that if we can get ahead of it, and at a young age and a young generation, that we're going to succeed in the future as one. Because once we become emotionally aware, everything falls into place. You understand the emotions you're feeling. You guys are at such a vulnerable time in your lives. If you can do that, going to college and understanding emotions is going to be a breeze. Because it's when you step out on your own is when that journey begins. So go and talk about your emotions. If you're struggling, please talk to somebody. Please. If you're struggling with depression, please talk to somebody. I've lost one too many friends to suicide. And it's something that's very real. And if we don't get ahead of this emotional issue, it can happen. And that's why I'm here to speak to you all. Because I don't ever want to see someone have an anxiety attack or be so in their own head that they feel like they can't reach out and just have someone there. There's always someone there to listen, to pick you up off the ground, and to lend you a hand. Whether that's someone that's here or someone that's up in heaven, there's always someone to help you. Before I close this out, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'm a very open book about my mental health journey and anything else. But before I wrap this up, I want you to know, in case someone told you today, that you're sensational, you're incredible, you are awesome human beings, and you're destined to make an impact on this world. And we need you here. I value you. The people in this room value you. And you are all unique and rad and totally awesome individuals. Y'all have any questions?